In any democracy, balancing power is a constant, massive challenge. Today, we're going to dive into Pakistan's really unique solution, the Senate. We'll break down exactly how this one institution is designed to hold the entire federation together.
Okay, let's just start with the fundamental problem that any federation faces. So you've got Pakistan, which is made up of provinces with wildly different populations. I mean, you look at Punjab, it has a massive population, especially compared to a province like Balochistan. So the big question is, how do you stop the bigger guys from completely drowning out the voices of the smaller ones?
Well, Pakistan's parliament tackles this head-on with a two-house system. On one side, you've got the National Assembly. That's where seats are handed out based on population. Pretty straightforward. It's the voice of the majority. But, and this is a big but, if that was the only chamber, smaller provinces could get consistently outvoted. And that's exactly where the second house becomes so important.
And that solution is the Senate of Pakistan, the upper house of parliament. Just look at its constitutional name, the House of the Federation. That name tells you everything you need to know about its real purpose. It's not there to represent you and me as individual voters. It's there to represent the provinces themselves as totally equal partners.
Think of it like a set of balancing scales, right? The National Assembly piles the weight of its massive population on one side. The Senate then comes along and puts an equal, perfectly measured weight for each province on the other side, making sure the whole thing stays level. It's all designed to build national cohesion and harmony, just by making sure no single province gets to call all the shots.
But this two-house or bicameral system wasn't always the way things were done. Pakistan's first two constitutions, back in 56 and 62, they just had a single house of parliament. It was that landmark 1973 constitution that finally brought in the bicameral legislature and officially created the Senate to provide that crucial provincial balance.
So how exactly does this balance work in practice? Well, it all starts with this one number, 96. That's the total number of seats in the Senate today. But honestly, the total number isn't the most important part. The real magic is in how those 96 seats are divided up.
And here's the breakdown. Just look at the totals for the four main provinces, Punjab, Sindh, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, and Balochistan. See that? Each one gets exactly 23 senators. That is the core principle right there in action. It doesn't matter how different their populations are. In the Senate, their representation is identical. The federal capital, Islamabad, that gets its own 4 seats.
Okay, so who actually elects these 96 senators? Well, it's not us, the general public, in a direct vote. Instead, they're chosen indirectly by the elected members of their own provincial assemblies. This whole system just reinforces their main job, which is to be representatives of the provinces. The voting system they use is designed to make sure that the number of senators from each political party basically mirrors that party's strength inside the provincial assembly.
Now, each senator gets to serve a 6-year term. That's a bit longer than the 5-year term in the National Assembly. And this longer term isn't random. It's designed to provide stability and experience, and it's absolutely key to one of the Senate's most defining features, its permanence.
And this is a really critical difference. The Senate is a permanent, continuous body. A prime minister can advise the president to dissolve the National Assembly, and poof, it's gone. But the Senate? Nope. It can never be dissolved. It's always there, acting as a constant, stabilizing force in the country, no matter what kind of political chaos might be going on.
So how does it stay permanent? It's all thanks to this really clever, staggered system. Elections happen every 3 years, but here's the trick. They're only for half of the Senate seats. This means that at any given time, half of the senators are experienced members who are already midway through their terms. This whole setup guarantees a smooth transition and prevents a complete power vacuum in the legislature.
The Senate is definitely not just a symbolic body. It has real teeth. Its main jobs are legislation, oversight, and representation. For most bills to become law, they have to get a thumbs up from both the National Assembly and the Senate. The Senate also plays a huge role in holding the government's feet to the fire and making sure provincial issues get heard on the national stage.
Now, there is one major exception to its legislative power, and that's anything to do with money bills, things like the federal budget. Those can only start in the National Assembly. The Senate gets to review them and give its recommendations, but the final decision rests with the lower house, the one that's directly elected by the people. For pretty much all other laws, though, the Senate is an equal partner.
And get this, here's a fascinating little detail that really shows you the constitutional significance of the Senate. If the office of the president ever becomes vacant, for any reason at all, It's the chairman of the Senate who steps in to become the acting president of Pakistan. I mean, that puts the Senate right at the heart of the state's continuity.
So when you boil it all down, it comes back to this one core idea. This quote from the Senate's own materials just sums it up perfectly. The whole structure, from top to bottom, is designed to be a force for unity, to make sure that every single province has a guaranteed and equal stake in the future of the Federation.
So let's just end with a little thought experiment. What if it were different? Just imagine for a second if the upper house was also based on population. How would that completely change the political dynamics, the balance of power, and maybe even the sense of national unity? Thinking about that really gets to the heart of why the Senate of Pakistan was created in the first place. Thanks for tuning in.